Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my round 1 tips, of course. So, yeah, let's get straight into the tips. First of all, let's get into the reviews. So, obviously, the season kicked off last Thursday, and this one was between Sydney and Melbourne at the SCG. Now, first of all, I know there were sloppy conditions, but, the first half was just poor from both teams, to be honest. I think the scores were at halftime. I can't remember. It was something stupid. It was something like, yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, the scores were just really poor. Melbourne were very inaccurate in the first half, and Sydney didn't really have any time of the ball in their forward half, but Melbourne probably could have kicked a few goals if they just had have converted in that first half, but yeah, this game wasn't so bad. Also, I did get 2 out of 4 tips. I thought I did pretty poor. I know that's still okay, but yeah, in that one, the Swans getting it done by 22. Then we headed over to the Gabba, and well, I couldn't watch this, unfortunately, because I was at the NBL, but yeah, I was able to watch the first quarter, and I was like, yep, this is going to be a boring match. I predicted it. Carlton weren't going to even put up a fight. Then I think it was about just before the game was starting, the Perth Wildcats game was starting. I saw, okay, Carlton, the margin was back down to like 30. I was like, okay, checked again. It was literally like a 12-point game. And it was looking like Carlton come back. Anyway, I was trying to reload my phone while I was in there because there was poor Wi-Fi. And then I saw Carlton get up by a point. So I was watching the highlights replay, and this was a good game. I do apologise, Carlton fans. I thought, just at the Gabba, they did what was quite mission impossible in the end and got the win there. So, yeah, that was a very interesting game. This one I don't really want to talk about. I went with the Tigers. The Suns actually won by 39. Just really, really dominant in the first half for the Suns. They kicked 74.5. They were leading by 61 half-time. Only conceded 13 points in the half. Then Richmond literally came back in that third quarter, but I could just tell that the Suns were going to hold on. And they probably could have done what could have been the second biggest comeback in history, but that didn't turn out to play, unfortunately, for Richmond fans. And finally, the Giants bet the Pies very convincingly. I was expecting the Giants to win. I had lots of faith in the Giants, but yeah, I wasn't expecting them to win by absolutely 32. So yeah, I get the pick there, not the margin. Look, yes, Collingwood were a bit inaccurate in front of their goals, but it just looked like the Giants dominated the ball all the time, and they were very accurate. So yeah, the accurate side always gets the win, and they won this one convincingly. So with that, let's get straight into the tips. So we do kick it off with the classic round 1 rivalry between Carlton and Richmond. Now, in this one, I'm going to be tipping the Blues. I think this is a pretty obvious tip here, just with the way that they came back in that second half. Was really stood out to me, and I know they were poor in that first quarter, but I think against this poor Richmond side, who really got proven to be who they are against the Suns, I'm going to go Carlton by a massive amount. I'm actually going to go the Blues by 43. I think this will be a thrashing. I think the Blues will be the one that thrashes the other side this time. I just think that, obviously Richmond didn't have Lynch, they didn't have Dusty. I don't think they even had Nankervis out there. But still, I don't think they'll change anything, I just think the Blues are probably the better team, and I think the Blues will get a good start, go 2-0. And obviously, I predicted Richmond to fall down the ladder this year, and I just don't think they're going to come out. I think this one's going to be a bit of a thrashing. I'm going to go the Blues by about 7 goals. So let's move on to Friday night. We have the Pies taking on the Swans. This one's going to be a very interesting one. The Pies are obviously coming off that loss to GWS. That was very disappointing in the end from the Pies. And the Swans, on the other hand, they got a gutsy win over Melbourne, but when you're playing the Ds, it's a pretty good win if you do win. So yeah, Sydney played pretty convincingly. I thought one issue was this time, obviously Sydney were very inaccurate in the second half, but just with Collingwood's inaccuracy, they probably could have made the margin only 10-point win for GWS, and that was an issue Sydney had last week with the second half too. But think about it, if Melbourne had have kicked straight in that game, They probably would have only made it like a 6-point game or something. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. However, I do expect the reigning premiers to bounce back a little bit. I was almost thinking about tipping the Swans, but I'm going to go Collingwood in what should be a very good game. I'm going to go the Pies to win this one by 6 points. I think this one should be very close, and the Swans should definitely take it right up to them. But I just think that the Pies should have a bounce back win. Obviously, Mason Cox did interfere the Giants when they were pre-game. He did interfere there, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But I will go with the Pies by 6. So, on Saturday morning, we have Essendon taking on the Hawks. This one should be, again, a pretty good game. I have hope that this is going to be a good game. Now, obviously, both these sides, none of them played in opening round, so we haven't got quite a good taste on them. I guess we do have the Hawks. They obviously lost in the preseason twice, had a poor preseason. Essendon, on the other hand, they had an even more poor preseason, obviously losing to my Saints by 66. And then the week after, they lost to Geelong by 12. At GMHBA, that was a tough game, but really they were pretty much dominant for 3 quarters. They just couldn't hold it on. But I think the Bombers will give a bit of a response to this one. Obviously, Hawthorn do have quite a few injuries. But I'm going to tip the Bombers here to get up by 13. I think this one will be fairly close. I think the Hawks will still be able to take it up to them. But I just think that Essendon are sort of the better side. It'll be interesting to see how Goldstein goes, along with them more recruits like Dersma. Who else was in there? Zerfaksha. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Bombers by 13. I just think they're a better side than Hawthorn. So, next up at Giants Stadium, it's the Giants taking on the Roos. Obviously, the Roos coming into this game, it's their first game of the season, obviously. And in the preseason, they didn't look too bad, you know. They bet Collingwood by 34, and then they went over to... they did get beaten by my St Kilda. They lost that game by 19, but they still played pretty convincingly. In this one, I am going to go with the Giants. I think that they should get the job done here. Obviously, they just played too convincingly against the Pies for my liking. I do think North will be able to take it up to them a bit, but I'm going to go with the Giants by 25. In, you know, what should be a relatively okay game. I think the North shouldn't concede any more than 30-point margin, but I just think that the Giants are the stronger team, and at Giants Stadium, I think it will be a 25-point win for the Giants. Moving on now, we do have my Saints taking on the Cats at GMHBA Stadium. Obviously, really excited for this one. I will be definitely tuning into this one, obviously. Now, Geelong with their new stadium, they played Essendon there on the weekend, and they got a win there, which was obviously good for them. And I think they played Carlton at GMHBA. They got a win there. Anyway, both these sides didn't play in opening round, so it's going to be an interesting taste. St Kilda, obviously, in their preseason, they did pretty good. They are looking pretty convincing, to be honest, and that's definitely good. Good news for me and good news for them. This one's going to be close either way, but I just feel like you can't write off Geelong here. And I can't even remember the last time we won at GMHBA Stadium. It's probably been like 10 years or something. I'm going to go with the Cats. I hate to do it, but I'm going to go with the Cats by 5. I just think they're the strongest side. But I think we'll be able to take it up to them. Obviously, I'm thinking of Max King to win the column. And I'm going to go say he kicks 4 goals in this game. I think he'll have a very good game. But yeah, I just think Geelong's midfield is a bit of a worry. Obviously, the St Kilda's midfield isn't too good either. So it'll be a bit interesting to see what happens there. But I will go with the Cats by 5 in that one. So let's move on to Carrara Stadium. Now we have Gold Coast taking on the Crows. Now this game is in over Queensland, so be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, lots of people are predicting the Crows to have a pretty good season this year, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. I think this should be a pretty good match too. I think this will be a very close one. But there's something in me saying that, you know, it's not always like the Crows get off to these good starts. I'm going to tip the Suns here. I'm going to go with the Suns. I think this should be a close game. But I'm going to go with the Suns here by 10 points. I just think that, you know, maybe with how they played against Richmond, obviously, They're looking pretty good. Adelaide, I don't really have much of a read of them yet, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Suns there by 10 in a game that could really go anyway. Next up, we have on the Sunday morning, we have the round 1 clash between Melbourne and the Dogs. This one should be another interesting game. Obviously, Melbourne looking really poor in that game against the Swans. You know, Grundy really bet up Gawn, and Gawn looked pretty slow and lethargic under Brodie Grundy. Meanwhile, the Dogs, it'll be interesting to see how they go. But I'm actually leaning towards this game. I think this could go either way. But I'm actually going to go with the Dogs here to win. There's just something in me telling me that I just think that this Dogs side will come out and play the better game. I think that Melbourne could have one of those poor starts, which they don't usually have. I'm going to tip the Dogs in here to win by 15 points. So next up, we move on to Adelaide taking on the Eagles. So this game is at the Adelaide Oval. So I think this one should be an easy win for Port. Obviously, it is round 1, so we don't know what could happen, but I feel like Port should be winning this game. I'm going to go with Port by 21. I know that makes it seem unconvincing, but I think West Coast, it's only round 1. I think West Coast will be able to put up a good fight, but I just think Port are obviously the way better side. They should be getting the win here. Obviously, Eagles, it'll be interesting to see how Harley Reid goes, obviously, as their new draft recruit. So, yeah, I'm going to predict Port by 21. Next up, for the final game of the season, it is over here at Optus. We have the Dockers taking on the Lions. In really, what most people would say the Lions could win. I could say that Fremantle, this game could go either way. I know that may seem stupid, but I think that, you know, just considering that it is at Optus, I think it could go anyway. Obviously, Brisbane losing the grand final, could that maybe hurt them? I mean, they did choke a 46-point lead at their own home ground, so maybe that does have something to do with mental issues, but this is going to be a very good game. I think I'll be watching this game. I feel like this game is a bit underrated. I'm going to tip this one's going to be close, but I am going to go with the Lions. I think they'll need to bounce back a bit here. I go with the Lions by 7. I think this one should be close. But yeah, I'll just tip Brisbane slightly by a goal and a bit. And yeah, this one should be pretty good. So let's go over the tips. Now, I went with Carlton by 43, Collingwood by 6, Essendon by 13, GWS by 25, Geelong by 5, Gold Coast by 10, Western Bulldogs by 15, Port by 21, Brisbane by 7. So, sorry again for not getting the tips out on the Monday. I'm currently trying to work on that, but that will be out on Tuesday. So, yeah, that's going to be it. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.